Hello and welcome to the Thoughtful Realtor Podcast. I'm Connie Chung.
I'm Cliff Tsang.
And I'm Kenny Gong, and we are the founders and partners of Willamar Real Estate.
And this is a real estate podcast where we get real personal.
Every episode, we sit down for insights, stories, and conversations about things in the market today, running a real estate team in California, and finding our way as leaders and business partners.
And for today's episode, we are going to do a deep dive into the profound influence our beliefs have on who we are as realtors, as business leaders, and as human beings. The power of positive belief systems can really embolden us to overcome challenges and also create the conditions and environment for us to really achieve professional success as well as personal satisfaction and happiness. So we wanted to get in there and talk about some positive beliefs. Shall we get in?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Where shall we start?
Let's start from the beginning. What is a core belief you grew up with that you still hold on to? And how has it affected your choices in life today?
Con?
Oh, first one that comes to mind is, if you work hard, you'll see the results. And I think this is something my parents instilled, especially as immigrants to the country. They started their own business, building gates for homes and businesses. And I fondly remember my dad starting his day early. He would take us to Carl's Jr., get us breakfast, and then he'd go to work and he'd come home super late at night and did well. He ran a really great, successful business. And it was because he was working hard manually, just that manual labor and the concept that you get what you put out there. And it's something that I think has really instilled this very hard work ethic in me and just that like hustle, that immigrant hustle mentality. And sometimes I wish I could just tell myself, Connie, chill. You've worked so hard, you've worked hard enough and you can relax and enjoy. But it is just that pride in the good work that you put out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's so fascinating to see what we pick up as from our parents, just kind of through like osmosis, just witnessing them work hard. Similar, like I can very much relate to that same story too. One for me is related to similar to witnessing my dad. I think I've shared on the pod before and with you too, but my dad at about age 40 had a complete career transition. That's when he started his insurance agency, the Allstate branch that used to be on Atlantic Boulevard in Monterey Park above the Sunfat supermarket for any of you in the 626.
Prime Realty right there. Wow. Be on Atlantic Boulevard.
Prime location. Yeah. But prior to that, he worked at a casino or different casinos, like a floor manager, kind of as the pit boss was like the term for his role. But seeing my dad transition from one career to another, and also the grind that entailed. If I remember him, my sister and I had like a study room where we would like do our studying it for high school, middle school stuff. And my dad like started to join us in that room studying for like the insurance tests and all that, and seeing him go through all that. The lesson that the belief that infused in me was like anyone can learn anything. Anyone at any age can learn anything. And actually, this is kind of, for me, I've been kind of thinking through a lot of this too, because I know like amongst us and on our team, I think I sometimes can be like a very critical person, like just kind of bring up, hey, we can improve this. Hey, we can make this better. And I think that's also shaped in some ways from that lesson from my dad of like, at least the story that I tell myself, that belief comes from me actually believing in those people that I am, I don't want to say criticizing, but the people that I am, at least in my story, in my head is like thinking that they can do it, they can learn. Right. So that's why I'm bringing that up. It's I know it can in moments feel negatively, but I think that's at least in my head what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's like high expectations.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's you have high expectations because you believe that someone can fulfill those expectations. Yeah. Mine is that you can be whoever you want to be. I think for me, it's always been you can be inside whoever you want to be. And that the way that you find sort of your greatest strength is actually by exploring who that person is inside. I think that was very much ingrained in me as a kid in the way that I think my parents just always, always, always expressed just this like unconditional love and support for whoever I was, right? Like in whatever I was doing or whatever I was trying to be, or there was just such a level of support to just whoever you're wanting to be inside is possible. And I think that has been really helpful for me to just set the foundation for seeing what is possible and seeing that there is so much in the mindset that we have, and that mindsets can shift and that we can be whoever we want to be. And I think that was, that's a very, very deep core belief.
Curious, how does that relate to Willamar or in your work
Hmm.
as an agent or the team company?
Yeah. I wonder if it actually kind of relates to what you're talking about, which is that you can be whoever you want to be as long as to both of you, it's as long as you're actually putting the intention and putting in the work to get to where you want to be. And maybe this is like tied to the mindfulness and the meditation practices that I've had for a really long time, which is it's both I want to aspire to be better than I am today, as well as being okay with who I am right now.
Mm.
It's all about like whoever I am in this moment right now is perfectly okay. And also, I have so much more to grow into. I have so much more that I can be if I commit to it and I dedicate intention and then dedicate the strategy towards becoming that person. So I think all of that has definitely been part of my entire career in real estate, from just being a solo agent to now leading this team. I think it's how I approach pretty much everything that I do, especially when it comes to leading other people. Are there other beliefs that y'all have when it comes to personal growth and success, and whether that's professional success or personal success and satisfaction?
In real estate, one belief that I have to remind myself, because it's not always the default thought that I think of, especially when I'll open up my Instagram feed and sometimes it's all the realtors and everything they're doing. And in real estate, the amazing thing is there's no ceiling. There's no
Mm,
one way you have to do business. There's so many ways to do business. And that's one of the major benefits. And there's so many ways to be successful. And I think that overall is the biggest blessing in this business. The one downside or curse to it is it means you can always be doing more. And I know for me,
mm,
something I always struggle with is possibly like comparing myself or thinking, oh, I could be doing that. I could also be doing that. And that I have to remind myself that there is one, plenty of business to go around,
yeah,
and because someone is doing all of that, that doesn't mean I need to go after that and do more. But it's like, okay,
yeah.
I could still get plenty of business with all that I am doing already
Hmm.
at the moment, which is already a lot. And yeah, I think I think it's so easy to compare in just both, not just professionally, but socially, especially in the world of social media, reminding myself that we're just constantly evolving, and failure, although is not so much like this one terrible thing. It's actually kind of part of learning. I see it more
Yeah.
as like these challenges in life that we kind of learn and grow from. So kind
Hmm.
of, especially in the world of real estate where there's always some hiccup or some new thing that we learn, it's I feel like those are the moments where those lessons are really solidified in our brains too. So seeing those as a huge blessing is
Hmm.
key for my belief system.
Yeah.
That reminded me of one for me. Yeah, one little trick or hack that I've started to do through this job is adding the phrase "I get to everything. There's just
Mm,
some things that are just
Yeah, love that.
in life, in any job or anything. There's just some things that are just bummers where it's like, oh, I don't want to do any of those. But when you just add the phrase "I get to," I don't know, tour with these clients. I
yeah.
get to stay up and do these things
Yeah.
for XYZ, work or non-work related.
Yeah.
It does shift your mind to realize that it's a choice, and it also reframes it in your head to just recognize that like life is great. Like just being able to live another day and being healthy and all of that is a blessing.
Hmm.
So you get to
Hmm.
do all of those things.
Yeah.
And then also related, Connie's talking about failure reminded me of, I think it was just related to my upbringing, but I just remember so many instances growing up where failure was not okay, or making a mistake was not okay. I think we've talked about the
Yeah.
tongue teal on this podcast and other things that were used to hit you if you made a mistake. Oftentimes they were not good mistakes, but
Yeah.
that also led to just thinking if you try to solve a math problem, but you get it wrong, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think those were the ones that had an adverse effect as I've gotten older,
Yeah.
because I still have some of that scar tissue of
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't fail, I can't mess up. And it's
Yeah.
like, what is failure actually? What does that even mean?
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't heard those mentions of a tongue tew or speak Cantonese, it is oftentimes a duster. A plastic duster with feathers that is used as punishment.
They're banned
Corporal,
now. I don't
corporal.
even see them anymore.
Maybe this is why. Yeah, I also think about what y'all are both talking about, which is just like sometimes the positive belief is cultivating. You have to actively cultivate positivity and actively cultivate optimism. So, when Cliff says, "Oh, I get to," and I think it's actually reshaping your brain in a way that helps your brain see the same exact scenario from a different side and from another perspective. And I think, yeah, it takes work. And one thing that it made me think about also, a little another trick to cultivate this positive belief, which comes from one of our agents on our team. I will not name them, because what they do, and I think it's a brilliant idea, is they're connected to a lot of other realtors on Instagram, but they mute all of those other realtors just because sometimes it's not helpful to constantly be seeing people who you can compare yourself to in your feed, right? And so I think sometimes that's such a really great lesson, that there's things that we can do to filter, and there's things that we can do to be really intentional about the kind of information that we're receiving, which, because it's an onslaught, it's so easy for those messages to then turn into our reality and our mindset.
So do you mute a lot of people on Instagram?
I do mute a lot of people, but not our friends. Our realtor friends, don't worry, I'm not muting you. But I'm muting other realtors. Other ways that you cultivate your own positive belief systems?
I have a neat one that I wanted to share. This came from my coach Brody, and this is something that we worked on for a little while, and he called it archetypes. And where this stemmed from was the thing that I talked to him was like, hey, when I go on vacation, and maybe this is other realtors can relate, it takes, just say when I'm there for a week, it takes me a few days to like kind of disconnect and then start to feel in vacation mode. And then prior to going back on the flight to get home, a couple days, I'm already thinking about work. So really a 1 week vacation, I might only have like 2 days of actually vacation, Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, oh, have you heard of this thing called archetypes? And it's effectively thinking through your 7 or 10 different modes that you might be in on a weekly basis. You might need to be a really, really good friend. You
Yeah.
might need to be a really good teacher. You might need to, like, if you have kids, being a really good parent. You might need to be a leader for a team meeting.
Yeah.
Another aspect, then you might also need to be a realtor. So think about all the different phases that you are, and being able to switch into that archetype quickly. So then we start
Hmm.
on this idea of, what does vacation Cliff look like? And thinking through, and like eyes closed, embodying who that is. And to me, it was like a picture of me wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, and I'm in Hawaii and I'm chill and relaxed. And it was a really helpful exercise. I'm still
Hmm.
working through it, but it's like being able to effectively shift into that version that you need to be
Yeah.
more quickly. And that's been helpful too, because it ingrained in me that like you are in control of your emotions and your beliefs more than you think. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it can be, I don't want to say trained, but it's like, yeah, you have control and power
Yeah.
over them.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It gives you such a
That's really
clear
good.
visual too of that type of person.
Mhm, mhm.
Did you, as part of that exercise, did you write out some of the characteristics, like vacation Cliff is having a Bloody Mary for breakfast kind of thing?
Yeah, not to that detail, but yeah, it was like
Yeah.
adjectives that described each one so that I can try to learn to embody it when I wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that because also, especially in our job, I feel like your archetypes are going to be so drastically different from one
Mm.
another. So I can imagine that if you're vacation Cliff facilitating a team meeting, it's not only in misalignment, but you're just not going to have as much fun because you're trying to flex the rest muscle when you
Yeah.
should be flexing like the leadership muscle.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really powerful tool. I mean, I'm still kind of working through it and trying to get more comfortable with it. But for example, like before giving a speech,
Yeah.
I might get really nervous, but then that's honing into like the leader archetype and be
Yeah.
like, okay, the leader needs to show up now to deliver his or her best version of yourself. Go up and give that speech now. And it's
Hmm.
like a quick way to kind of switch your brain because that leader is in you. Everyone has all the archetypes in you, but that misalignment that Kenny was talking about is what I think sometimes causes problems.
Yeah.
Like when if a frustrating thing with Misan, I need to show up as a different person than like a childish version of me, for
Hmm.
example. But the
Hmm.
childish version has its place too, because that's
Yeah.
part of the vacation clip.
Yeah.
Like I need to be able to have fun and let loose. So
Yeah.
yeah, all that.
Mm, that's so great. Con, what about you? Any other ways that you cultivate these positive belief systems?
Yeah, I think about my whys, or I try to. I mean, naturally, I'm such a positive person, but I think getting to kind of your I get to, it's such a great reminder of like reminding myself of like why am I doing this? Oh, it's so much of it's for my
Mm,
family, and especially when I spend a lot of time with them. Like it works in both ways. When I'm like challenged, having a hard time with my family or my kids, it's like, oh no, this is why I'm doing all of this, and like, oh, trying to appreciate the moment. It's like, this is so rare and special. And then vice versa when we are enjoying, it's like, oh yeah, this is literally the fruit of our labor. And I think kind of going to like the full circle of the belief systems, I didn't really see my parents like rest as much, and it's something I'm
mhm,
trying to instill in a belief system. It's like, yes, we work so hard, but rest and enjoying is just as important, and
mm,
and also part of the why too. So
mhm.
really, yeah, putting it into practice, all of it.
Yeah. Especially knowing we started this conversation in this episode talking about how we embodied the belief systems that we saw from our parents, and so also seeing that as like these are the ones that we are now in I don't know, it's not inheriting, but it's that we're now passing
Passing
down
on.
to future generations. And so how can you do that in a healthy and productive and intentional and loving way?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, like even teaching my daughter how to bike or play baseball is like you want to fail. No, you want to get miss the pitch or like fall on your bike because it's like the most important thing is like getting back up and trying it again. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, kind of taking those moments that maybe we weren't taught or like yeah, how can
Yeah.
we reframe it and what's the lesson we want to pass on to the next generation is really
Yeah.
cool to think about.
Yeah. Should we wrap up?
Sounds good. There you have it. We love these kinds of deep episodes, and we hope that you, our listeners, do too and have found parts of it or all of it enlightening and inspirational. It's important to recognize that belief systems can really shape who we are, and just as important to remember that these systems are not fixed. You learn them somewhere, and you can always change or improve them as you grow as a person.
And we'd love to hear from you about your belief systems that you may have grown up with, or the ones that have maybe positively affected the direction or directions of your life. And you can find us at willamar.com or on Instagram at Thoughtful Realtor. And you can reach out to us directly. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. We read each one of your reviews and always appreciate when you share the love. And so until next time,
Bye.
bye.